Let me ask you some short, direct questions. When was your first introduction or exposure to Agile?
I guess it was some 4 or 5 years ago. So
Really?
Not too long ago. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Because I have a standard statement, and I keep bringing it up in every podcast. I'm not sounding like a broken record already. I've been exposed formally to Agile over 10, maybe even 12 years. Mm-hmm. When you were first read the first concept of Agile, what was your internal reaction?
Well, of course, you oppose it, right? And you think, what is this?
Was it something new to you?
Yeah, definitely.
Was it new?
Yeah, very new.
See, I had a different experience.
The methods, the roles.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the
fundamentals. The mindset, the fundamentals.
The fundamentals.
Good project management always was agile, not in terms of methods, but in terms of mindset.
I would even say
if there are new requirements, then you better adjust to those. If you don't, you're not a good project manager. What is this?
I would even say that a lot of the methods that are claimed to be agile have a history. I mean, if you're talking about iteration, okay, the great grandfather of iteration was the Deming cycle. I'm sorry, okay. The PMI, I don't know if IPMA did the same. I'm assuming, but IPMA and the PMI life cycle, which is a little bit different, is also kind of an homage to the Deming cycle: plan, do, check, act. Then there was this spiral model. Then there was a rolling wave model. SAP Activate or SAP had in the last 20 years had iterative models. The stage gate or phase gate model is nothing else than the release thing. So
correct.
My personal impression of Agile is I think they were absolutely legitimate. I like them. I like the fact that there were pioneers that banged on the table and said, you know what, enough of the formalistic, academic approach to project management that focuses just on documentation and doesn't have honest conversations. I'm not saying that predictive project management was predestined to be that way, but I think a lot of projects kind of shifted into that direction. And I think the new generation put their foot down and said, listen, this needs to be different. We shouldn't be talking to the sponsor only at the beginning of the project. And the sponsor, what does a sponsor know about the product? Nothing. Let's create somebody that's called a product owner that takes over 50% of the responsibility of the sponsor when it comes to making decisions. And actually comes from a line organization that's actually going to work with this product when it's finished. Brilliant concept. Sure. So you have an interesting background. I'm going to use as a metaphor. You have in your past been a professional football player.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
soccer for those.
Soccer for those who don't know what football is. Not American football. Not European. World football. I say this. Okay. Now the analogy that I was use here when you played, I'm assuming that you played with Rapid, right?
Rapid and in Sportclub, yes.
The classical lineup was goalie, libero, sweeper, and three-person defense, right?
Yeah, sure.
What is the present day lineup? The present day lineup is, I'm not even know if I'm up to date. It's a goalie, 4-person defense.
It varies.
It varies.
There might be 3 or 5.
There might also be 2-3. Okay. The analogy that I'm using here is that I think that Agile, just like modern strategies of lineup, give you new potential in dynamics and operational execution. But at the end of the day, you're still playing on a football field. There's still a goal. There's still essential roles that have not changed. The goalie.
You still want to win, and the game is over after 90 minutes.
And quite honestly, one team plays better with one lineup, and another team plays better with another lineup, whether it's tiki-taki or whatever the different strategies is. What I love about Agile, I think Agile has re-energized the conversation about project management. I think that's good. I think where you and I would probably see eye to eye, what's a little bit annoying is this concept that it's a revolution. It's not a revolution, it's an evolution. And quite honestly, the first time I read an Agile book, I said, this is brilliant, but I've been doing this since I've been doing projects. For me, there was never during initiation and planning, I always use predictive methodologies, even if there's Agile predictive, right? Because that's what management wants from you, right? But for me, there's no way to go into execution. Just like you said at the beginning of this podcast, You can be as predictive as you want. Reality, it's like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? If you're not using agile methodology when you're executing, you're doing something wrong. Whether you call it agile or not.
But that's the difference.
Yeah.
You know, I think you need to call it, and then you can do it. If you don't call it like this, you behave similarly, but the agile approach as such has a certain framework, and this, I guess, shall be and can be introduced in our project approaches. What's so important for me is, you know, this process way of thinking. I think they're in German, they are called Vorgehensmodelle. How would you call it? It's
procedures. Procedures is what, or standard operating procedures is what.
Okay. And for me, agile, hybrid, waterfall, these are operating procedures.
Yes, they're tools in your toolbox.
And those are not project management models, because project management remains project management.
It's the full umbrella.
Yeah, correct. And this difference is very important because very often people talk about agile project management. There's no agile project management. Project management is starting, is controlling, is closing. And that's always the same. But to perform your content in a project, you might use agility as an operating procedure, or you might use it as basically we are talking about requirement concepts, requirement planning, requirement management. There's the waterfall requirement approach where you define everything at the very beginning. And
especially when you have large budgets.
Correct. And then you have agile requirement work with user stories and so on, where you reprioritize and redefine new user stories and so on to be fulfilled within a vision. And that's, again, important. You know, people say, okay, we work agile in project, which means they don't have a clear objective. And that's ridiculous. What do you mean? In
German, we say Projekt durch Wurstelung, which means we're just winging it.
No, this is, so the agility sometimes is not applied and used in an appropriate format.
I think also, I think I agree with you. I think just like agile process has legitimate critique on how some people apply predictive. Correct. I think there's equal constructive criticism that can be applied towards agile. And I think at the end of the day, this is my personal experience with clients. Clients will tell you what they need, and it's kind of based on their situation, on their culture, right? I don't know how often I have to have this conversation. So what's a product owner? Where's the project manager? You know, what's my role? Yeah. Because ultimately we're still playing football, right? So we don't want to have a system that's so cumbersome that if you don't know how to play four-person defense, then it's useless, right?